Hi, I'm Erin Palmer, Team Rayceen Productions, co-host and moderator.
And I'm Rebekah Laur'en, Team Rayceen Productions, co-host and moderator.
Joining us is Rina. Hi, Rina.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for being here.
Well, I'm super excited for you to be here, Rina, and I can't wait to ask questions. But first, can you please share with our viewers a little about who you are and what you do?
Oh, absolutely. So my name is Rina. I'm also known as Pi-Anir the Poet. I am a spoken word artist and performer. I am a host, an advocate. I am a program coordinator for a nonprofit art center, and I'm also a mother. So I am a lot of things.
Very true.
Rina, tell us about your book.
So I wrote a book last year, February. It is To the Goddess in My Garden. It's a book of poetry and self-reflection. It was really my apology to myself. It was my way of starting the healing journey. I woke up one morning and realized that I didn't even recognize who I was anymore. So I started to kind of compile all of the poetry that I had written over the years, but also the poetry that was finding its way out of me at that moment. And the book was birthed. It was my swan song. It was something beautiful, but it was also my way of giving back. Every time I sell one of the books, proceeds or portion of the sale goes to organizations that support domestic violence, sexual assault, endangered children. So I wanted to give back and then find a way to kind of bridge the gap between myself and other people who found themselves waking up and not recognizing who they were because they had given so much of themselves that they had nothing left.
So you've written from a past perspective, like taking some of your older work and contemporary work. How was it to see it all compiled together as one thing? What was something that came forward from the piece as a collective?
Oh my gosh. So it is broken into three spaces. It's anger, acceptance, and then healing. And it was literally going through those phases. Every time I found something old, I found myself re-triggered, and I would have to take like the time to sit back and really take a moment to feel those feelings again, but from the perspective of someone who had to acknowledge it. And then there was times where it was just pure joy because you realize you've come a long way and you've done a lot and you've gotten through a lot. I think that's the biggest thing of all. When you find yourself at the end of that road, you're like, wow, I survived this. So there was a lot of anxiety because, of course, now I have to take something so personal to myself and put it in other people's hands. But once I did that, the connections that happened afterwards of those who understood, and for lack of a better term, a lot of, hey, me too. It was a beautiful thing.
That's very powerful. I mean, I've had the honor of actually hearing some of your poetry live. So you are a very powerful person. And as we go down that whole concept of you being a powerful person, I know that you do a lot in the communities as well, beyond just giving back in your work. How long have you been with Creative Suitland Art Center, and what do you do there?
Oh my gosh. So Creative Suitland Art Center is a nonprofit in the heart of Suitland, Maryland. I have been at Creative Suitland just over a year and a half now. I am the program coordinator. So programs, events from inception to completion and everything in between, I'm responsible for. So I get the chance to put together things like our front porch series and our workshops. I teach workshops myself there, performance workshops and creative writing. There's a whole lot. Suitland is really underserved as it relates to the arts. So being the only art center in the community, it's a big responsibility, but it's so rewarding.
That's really great. Before we move on to ask you about Promethean Inferno, I want to go back to your book just for a second.
Absolutely.
So that you can share the title and where people can find it.
Absolutely. So it's To the Goddess in My Garden, a book of poetry and self-reflection. It is available on Amazon. It's also available on my website. And then if you ever see me out and I'm somewhere performing, or I'm just, these red locks are kind of hard to miss, I always have them on me. So you can get it Amazon, myself, or my website.
Amazing. Now let's talk about Promethean Inferno. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, the Promethean Inferno is my baby. It just had its second run back in April. So it is the first ever poetry slam in Suitland, Maryland. It is 15 poets, 3 rounds. They compete for cash prizes. So first prize was $500. Second prize was $250, and then third prize was $100. And because I'm extra and my creative brain is always going, they also win an old school quill pen that they can write with the dipping ink and everything. So I've had a lot of the poets say they enjoy the pen. Of course, they enjoy the money, but the pen is something that kind of goes along with them. But I'm so excited just because the slam community is a big thing. And unfortunately, Suitland just didn't have anything like that. So taking slam and bringing it to Suitland, it's been really well received. And each slam that we do, it just grows larger and larger. So we do it twice a year. So April for National Poetry Month, and then we do it in November. First prize, last one, Black Chakra won, which is a big spoken word slam champion in the community. And then the second one, Slangston Hughes won first place. So Baltimore actually came down and kind of stepped on with everybody else. But
it's a whole function, right? It's a whole culture thing, right?
It's a full culture. There's judges, there's timekeepers and scorekeepers and bout managers. It's a lot.
That's fun.
But it's so much fun.
Well, I'm kind of curious, what made you give it the name Promethean Inferno?
So when you think of slam and competitions, everybody has like these really cool poetic names. But for me, I wanted something that stood out. And Prometheus was the god of creativity, but was also a rebel. And I'm like, what if I did that? Because if we're nothing but creative, we're also rebels at the same time. It almost seemed perfect. So bringing fire to the stage, because, we say people spit fire all the time when they're really good. It just seemed like such a perfect name, and it stuck. And it's getting traction where people now know, oh, did you go to the Promethean? I love to hear it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You always do things with intention. So as we're going down this lane as well, please tell us about Sound Off Open Mic. I know that's something that you do as well.
Yes, so I'm the host for Sound Off Open Mic at Creative Suitland. It's every fourth Monday. It was actually started by C. Thomas, which is another spoken word artist in the community, and they gave it over to me when I started with Creative Suitland. We revamped it last year back in May, and it has really taken off. We were in partnership with DC Music Summit, so we would feature one musical artist and one poet. But then DC Music Summit, of course, rebranded, and they do our workshops now, but Sound Off kept going, and we still have a feature poet. We've started spotlights, where we'll have a spotlight artist, and then we will do our full feature. And then we actually have about 15 to 17 open micers that come out every fourth Monday and like really, really give their all. It's beautiful. You have rappers, you have musicians, you have singers. We had someone fly in from Texas just so they could get on the mic, and they have to come early because the list fills up so quickly. But we featured Too Chill Phil, who is 8th in the nation as far as women slam champions are concerned. We have featured Adamo the Poet. We try our best to get DMV artists. As of late, I've started branching out, trying to reach out to the bigger poetry community at large. But it's wonderful to see.
What's the most surprising performance that you've seen at Sound Off?
So I taught a class in theater and performance, and I gave tickets to 2 of the students who did their homework. And I thought, they would just come out to enjoy the show. They signed up, and then they did this really pretty rendition of a hip hop song with an acoustic guitar. and the crowd went nuts. It was arresting, to say the least. Just watching them sit in class all shy, but then they got on stage and completely turned it out. It was so good. Oh, man.
That sounds lovely. And one of the joys of open mic is that you just never know what you're going to get. And it's always something beautiful. So what do you have upcoming in terms of Sound Off?
So every fourth Monday, so our next one is July 24th, where we'll be featuring Sonnet Soliloquy Wordsmith. They are a very dynamic, multifaceted artist. They do performance, and everything is kind of goth, with kind of like a human, emotional muse, artistic side to it, which says a lot. But to see them in action, oh my gosh, they really put on a show. We'll also be bringing out our spotlight artist on July 24th. So we have a returning citizens program, and students who have been formerly incarcerated, they learn poetry and spoken word, as well as visual arts. And one of our poetry students will be our spotlight for that day.
This is so exciting. Well, can you tell our viewers how they can keep up with you, see what you're up to, just stay in touch and keep following all the great work that you're doing?
Oh, absolutely. So it's Pi-Anir the Poet. It's P-I-A-N-I-R the Poet, and that's across all social media, Instagram, Facebook. You can also make sure you are keeping up with me at creativesuitland.org as well. All of those things. I have all of my upcoming events, all of the different things that I do and that I'm involved in, the community work, as well as the advocacy. It's all there. And I'm pretty friendly. At least I like to think so.
You are very friendly, actually. So viewers, please look in the description below for links, and stay in touch and see what Pi-Anir is up to. Pi-Anir is always up to a lot, that's for sure.
Up to a lot.
Well, thank you so much, Pi-Anir, for being on our show. You know, I was excited, and just hearing all that you're doing, I'm extremely proud of you and excited for you. So thank you again for being a guest on our show.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful.
To those watching, please follow Team Rayceen on social media and subscribe to the Team Rayceen YouTube channel.
Viewers, thank you for watching.